A recent flurry of newspaper articles in the British press have highlighted that Iran is apparently smuggling operatives and weapons into the UK via the small boats crossing the English Channel. While this may be true, certainly from the perspective of moving in trained personnel, the smuggling of weapons remains very difficult, though not impossible. After all, such behavior by Iran could be considered an act of war if it was discovered. But such articles are nonetheless adding to the feeling that Britain's defences are in some way compromised or diminished, particularly if taken in concert with the flagrantly aggressive behaviour of Russian warships recently around Britain's shores. The aim of the Iranian operation is apparently to have in place well-trained and armed cells across the UK ready to begin attacks on British government buildings, the royal family and US air bases, the latter because British Prime Ministers have allowed US airstrikes against Iran to be flown from American bases on British soil. Returning to the question of smuggling weapons, there is another way that Iran or any other country could do so without the same risks involved of exposure as sending them across the English Channel on small boats. I am of course referring to the diplomatic bag. The diplomatic bag means a container of some kind, from a simple locked bag to an entire shipping container that is used to transport official correspondence and government items between a nation's embassies, consulates, and home government. These items are very clearly marked, and under Article 27 of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, a diplomatic bag cannot be opened, searched, or detained by a host country's authorities or customs officials. They are exempt from scanning or X-raying, and the official accompanying them is likewise protected as a diplomatic courier and cannot be arrested or detained. Abusing the status of the diplomatic bag has been done numerous times, and often for the smuggling of weapons. For example, in 1982, during the Falklands War, the Argentine government considered a plan to attack British ships at the British overseas territory of Gibraltar adjacent to Spain. Several naval limpet mines were then smuggled from Argentina to the Argentine embassy in Spain, using the Argentine diplomatic bag. There are also two examples of weapons having been smuggled into the UK via diplomatic bags and subsequently used to kill people. The first is the famous 1980 Iranian embassy siege in London, which I have covered in a video, link in the end screen. On the 30th of May 1980, 6 men, Iranian Arabs campaigning for the sovereignty of the Khuzestan province of Iran, stormed the Iranian embassy at Prince's Gate, taking 26 people hostage. Following the murder of one hostage, the SAS initiated Operation Nimrod to forcibly end the siege, and SAS troops subsequently shot and killed 5 of the gunmen on the 5th of May 1980, an event televised around the world. The 6 terrorists were well armed, and it was believed by the British authorities that their weapons had been smuggled into the UK via the Iraqi diplomatic bag, as Saddam Hussein at the time was keen to undermine the new Islamic revolutionary government in Tehran. The weapons were 1 VZ-61 Scorpion submachine gun, 3 Browning high-power semi-automatic pistols, 1 .38 caliber revolver, and 2 9mm PM-63 RAK submachine guns, and also several Soviet fragmentation grenades. Then, in 1984, another incident occurred in central London. On the 17th of April, a peaceful protest was occurring outside the Libyan embassy in St. James's Square, a demonstration against Libyan dictator Colonel Gaddafi. In the midst of this demonstration, 2 men inside the embassy opened fire from the building's first floor, to our American viewers that is the second floor, into the crowd, wounding 10 people, and fatally wounding a British female police officer, WPC Yvonne Fletcher. The Libyans in the embassy were using Sterling submachine guns, which had been smuggled to them via the Libyan diplomatic bag. The police and SAS placed the embassy under siege for 11 days, but could not enter the embassy to arrest those responsible for the death of Yvonne Fletcher, due to diplomatic rules. On the 23rd of April 1984, Britain severed all diplomatic ties to Libya and expelled the embassy staff, granting them safe passage to Heathrow Airport on the 27th of April. No one was ever prosecuted for Fletcher's murder. Weapons smuggled via the diplomatic bag could be given to personnel that have already been smuggled into the UK via various routes, to effectively arm small units of well-trained soldiers prepared to then conduct sabotage or terrorist-style attacks on behalf of their nation. In fact, just this kind of scenario has been highlighted in the press in relation to the situation in the Middle East and the British government's support for the United States. As I said, a diplomatic bag can even include shipping containers, giving very wide scope for the kinds of weaponry that could be smuggled in such containers by a foreign state, a nation having much greater military capabilities than individual terrorist groups. Such weapons could include small arms, explosives, man-pads, mortars, hand grenades, and drones. Targets in the UK are abundant and almost entirely undefended. As I have maintained, properly trained military personnel can be easily smuggled into the UK at the present time, and with the discipline, skills and patience to conduct a multi-dimensional campaign on British soil if ordered to do so, it is extremely worrying. It is also worrying that it appears that Britain is quite powerless militarily to prevent foreign nations from doing as they please, which is not a good look. While the new British government continues to argue, as the previous governments did, about the percentage of GDP to be spent on defence, or orders yet more multi-billion-pound warships, aircraft or armoured vehicles, or cancels contracts for the same, its enemies are apparently already inside the defences, with a simple yet effective route to arm groups to create havoc on the streets of Britain if they so chose, which I think you will agree with me is a very sobering thought indeed. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.